Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Weather Desk, our weekly or daily weather stream Monday through Friday here at 13 News Now. If you're joining us from outside of southeastern Virginia and in the northeastern North Carolina, my name is meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. I'm a certified broadcast meteorologist based in Norfolk, Virginia, near Virginia Beach. And we do this stream every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. to talk about the local weather, the national weather, and the international weather. Now, here in Hampton Roads, it's been fairly quiet, but this is such a great week to get prepared. Today, we're in the month of March. March 1st marked the first day of severe weather season. Severe weather season runs from March through May. And with a quiet week on tap, it's the best week to get prepared for what may come later on this season. It's Severe Weather Awareness Week here in Virginia. And yesterday, I explained what we can expect to learn each day of this week. Let's take a look. Day, March 10th, kicks off Virginia Severe Weather Awareness Week. Each day this week will feature a different topic surrounding weather safety and preparedness. Monday's topic defines watches versus warnings. A watch means that conditions are favorable for severe weather. A warning means that the threat is imminent and to seek shelter immediately. Monday's topic pairs perfectly with Tuesday's. On Tuesday, the focus shifts to tornadoes, tornado safety, and how tornadoes form. The best places to go during a tornado warning are the lowest level of your building, an interior room like a bathroom or closet, or a tornado shelter. Try your best to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Wednesday's topic highlights severe thunderstorms and the threats associated with severe storms. For a storm to become severe, it needs to produce winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, or hail that is an inch in diameter or larger. Thursday's topic emphasizes the risks of flash flooding. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock a person off of their feet, while 12 inches of fast-moving water can carry a car away. When you see flooded streets, remember the phrase, turn around, don't drown. And lastly, Friday's topic provides tips on outdoor weather safety. The best practice is when thunder roars, head indoors, and always have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. Now, today is Tuesday, and in just about 40 minutes, there will be a statewide tornado drill that will go on here in Virginia. So for those who live in the Commonwealth, know that this is not an active tornado warning at all. This is just going to be a drill to make sure that we have multiple ways to receive alerts, that the tornado sirens work, and those emergency alert systems also work. So you may hear some noises. You may even have some drills going on at your workplace. You may even practice at home, or your kids may go through it at school. Again, no severe weather expected for today or through the end of the week, and we'll talk about that later on in this stream. Let's talk about what's going on today for Virginia Severe Weather Awareness Week. Today is all about tornadoes, as I mentioned earlier. Today is about how tornadoes form, tornado safety, and how to protect yourself during these situations. I want to go back first because a lot of people have asked me, mainly students that I go to school visits with, ask me how tornadoes are rated. A lot of times you hear EF0 tornado or EF1 or EF2, and you're wondering how does that even get its designation? Well, it first started off as the Fujita scale, the F scale, brought to you by Dr. Fujita, who developed this system of rating tornadoes based on their wind speeds. It now is known as the EF scale, the Enhanced Fujita scale. So we rate them EF, or Enhanced Fujita, 0 through 5. So let's take a look at what each type of tornado does according to its rating. Now, the ratings are given out by the National Weather Service in each local office. So if a tornado was to happen here in southeastern Virginia or northeastern North Carolina, our great friends and meteorologists at the National Weather Service out in Wakefield would go and survey that damage like they did the other day on the Middle Peninsula to give you a rating of what that tornado would have been. We saw that a couple years ago with the EF3 tornado that went through Great Neck in Virginia Beach. It was an EF3. They assessed the damage because the damage was so significant, it got that higher rating. So let's take this graphic all the way full so we can see each one. The enhanced Fujita scale again goes from 0 to 5. So on an EF0 scale, that is the weakest. So we're going from weakest to strongest. EF0, you're talking damage to gutters, sidings, maybe some shingles are pulled off of your roof. You'll experience some power outages, maybe even some power flashes when you see those tornado videos. A lot of times you do see that blue light that flashes in the midst of the tornado or in the midst of that cloud cover, and that's showing you where that tornado may be. And then you'll have some trees that are twisted up and some broken branches. EF1, that's going to be your scale from about 86 miles per hour to 101 mile per hour winds. And you'll see some damage to the roof again, some broken windows, poles could be toppled over, and then small trees would be uprooted. We go now to the stronger storms, and that's going to be your EF2 tornadoes. We're talking considerable damage, 111 to 135 mile per hour winds. During this time, roofs can actually be ripped away, cars flipped over, larger trees uprooted, and most poles will be knocked over. Even stronger is the EF3 from 136 miles per hour to 165. We're talking pretty considerable to severe damage. Entire floors are destroyed in houses. I mean, you're talking damage that would take months, if not sometimes years, to repair. Vehicles are displaced. Most standing objects toppled over or blown away. And then bark from trees are actually stripped in this process. So really severe. Again, if you were here in Virginia during the Great Neck tornado, back in 2023, that was when we had that some of those houses were destroyed in that process. Now, EF4s and EF5s are on the more rare side, especially EF5s, but a lot of them do happen in Tornado Alley, which occurs in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota to the Midwest, and then in the deep South, like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. But these are extreme damage. So if you're underneath an EF4 tornado, your house is most likely leveled. Most of the landscape is stripped. Cars are thrown in the air, almost similar to what you would see during a hurricane, where you're kind of seeing just parched earth and just remnants of what was. And that's why, especially during tornadoes, we recommend that you get to the lowest level of your building if possible, mainly a basement or a tornado shelter, just because in these cases, if you are above ground in an EF4 or EF5, these are usually not survivable. So that's why we encourage you to always have a tornado plan, and that goes into today's tornado safety. Always make sure you have that, and we'll go over that in just a little bit. But the EF5, the most rare and the strongest, is going to be your 201 mile per hour plus winds. We're talking catastrophic damage, homes completely stripped away, the land that you once knew, the city that you once knew is no longer there, and maybe even some concrete. We're talking really hard concrete stripped from the ground in these cases. Now, again, the best place to be during a tornado warning, like I mentioned earlier, is to be at the lowest place in your house or your building, whether that's a school building, a work building, or whatever you are, or wherever you are at that moment. Try to get to the basement or a certified tornado shelter. The good news is a lot of our local universities, not only here in southeastern Virginia, but around the country. I went to the University of Oklahoma. Some of our buildings were tornado rated, meaning that they were storm ready. So we could sit in those buildings that had really nice amenities, TVs, couches, and stuff like that, to wait out the storm because they could withstand winds from a tornado. They're more likely to be more common tornado rated and storm ready shelters out into parts of the central U.S., but I have seen some here in southeastern Virginia. If you can't get to a tornado shelter or a basement, the next best thing is an interior room inside of your house. A bathroom or closet is your best bet. Any room that does not have windows leading to the outside. Try to put as many layers between you and the outside as possible during a warning. Remember, a warning means a threat is imminent. A watch means that the threat is possible and all the ingredients are there. Usually tornado warnings only last about 30 minutes. Watches can last anywhere from an hour to up to 8 hours. So that's the difference between the watches and warnings and the differences in how we rate tornadoes on the enhanced Fujita scale or the EF scale. Again, this is not something that local meteorologists rate. We leave that up to the National Weather Service, and then they disseminate that information to us. So you're probably wondering, okay, we're in the midst of severe weather season. How likely is it that here across Virginia or North Carolina, we would see a tornado during March? Because remember, severe weather season lasts from March through May. So in Virginia, we have a very low likelihood of seeing tornadoes. According to the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center, on a 25-year average taken from 1999 to 2023, Virginia on average in every given March only sees about 1 tornado in the state. In North Carolina, it's 2. But notice how that really ticks up as you head to the west in places like Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, where they see anywhere from 8 to 15 tornadoes per state. But I will say, compared to Texas, Virginia is a very small state. So you could have a lot of tornadoes happening in West Texas that really happen in East Texas or vice versa. So it's not telling you the actual location or cities that these include, but it's just at a statewide look. Now, as we get into April, those numbers do tick up. For Virginia, we're talking 4 tornadoes for the state on average per April. And in North Carolina, that number goes up to 6. Of course, in Tornado Alley, again, Tornado Alley stretching from the Great Plains on south. And then in the Deep South, we're talking higher risk for tornadoes as well. And we have that risk already outlined for parts of the Midwest and the Deep South as we get into the middle to end of this week into the weekend, as a super powerful low pressure system and cold front will race across the U.S. And I'll give you a look at that cold front in a few minutes as well. Now, speaking of tornadoes, parts of Florida are still picking up the pieces after severe weather tore through the South. The National Weather Service confirmed an EF2 tornado touched down in Seminole County in central Florida, just north of Orlando. That tornado even hitting a news station, Fox 35, while they were still on the air talking about the tornado. That video was incredible. The meteorologists did a great job of not only protecting themselves, but protecting their coworkers by telling them to get underneath desks and make sure that they were also safe. Remember, we always have our safe plans here at news stations as well. They weren't the only ones who were hit. Several homes were also destroyed during that storm. Now, again, making sure that not only you have a safety plan in place at your home, but also at your job. It's not a bad idea. So maybe you go up to your boss one day and ask, what are the tornado safety plans in place here, or the severe weather plans in place at this building, so you know where to go during severe weather. So we're in the midst of Severe Weather Awareness Week here in Virginia, but we're also in the middle of Virginia's Flood Awareness Week. This month reminds residents that anywhere it rains, it can flood, especially in a flood-prone area like Hampton Roads. You may not be a stranger to flooding in your neighborhood, but did you know that most insurance policies do not cover flood damages? From now until the 15th of this month, Virginians are encouraged to learn more about their flood risk and coverage. Emily Harrison has more.
According to the National Flood Insurance Program, flooding is by far the most common and costly natural disaster, impacting thousands of homes and businesses per year. But despite the risks, only 3% of Virginians carry flood insurance.
If a hurricane hits Hampton Roads, we would expect billions of dollars in physical and economic damage.
In a previous story with 13 News Now, Old Dominion University economics professor Bob McNabb laid out how a direct hit by a major hurricane could cost the region $15.6 billion in damages. A huge part of the impact comes from flooding, and it's not just limited to the coast.
Hurricane Harvey struck Houston, and neighboring localities that did not have flood insurance or were barely covered struggled to recover. And this is a lesson for Hampton Roads.
This year, Southwest Virginia saw heavy rains that resulted in widespread damage. And in Western Carolina, some towns are still rebuilding after the destruction left behind by Hurricane Helene. Flood management leaders are urging everyone to check your insurances and realize most homeowner and renters insurance does not include flood damage. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
And Emily was talking about the hurricanes, but even here in southeastern Virginia, so one of our main concerns is even just the run-of-the-mill thunderstorms we have throughout the year, especially in the summertime when we have so much moisture to pull from. I've even been caught in flash flooding before. If you are living in southeastern Virginia and you live specifically on the south side, you know that the parts of Norfolk flood horribly, especially Ghent. So here's why we do not ever underestimate the power of flash flooding. It only takes 6 inches of fast-moving water to knock you off your feet. This is just for an average person. This will just sweep you off your feet, and you never know what could be in those waters. A lot of times we have debris. There could be animals that could strike, hit you and hurt you in those situations. Now, what if you're driving in a car? A lot of times people are like, oh, I'm in a car, no worries, I'm above the ground. But it only takes a foot of water or 12 inches of fast moving water to carry your car away for your run-of-the-mill sedan or four-door vehicle. Now, I have seen a lot of people who do have those bigger trucks and bigger vehicles, and they may be like, okay, well, I don't have the little car. I'm not standing by myself on the roads. I should be fine. But sometimes in very intense situations, we can get 1 to 2 inches of water or rain per hour, and it only takes a foot and a half to up to 24 inches of fast moving water to carry most large vehicles away. So one of the things that we'll talk more about later this week, as flooding is a topic for Virginia Severe Weather Awareness Week on Thursday, is turn around, don't drown, and how to protect yourself in flash flooding situations and flood safety. That is all going to be on Thursday. Now, while flooding is a major risk and concern for our region, drought and fires are now a new concern in New York after a rare wildfire erupted on Long Island over the weekend. That fire reigniting earlier this week. Powerful winds and dry conditions are fueling the flames, and fire investigators are now saying they believe it was caused by s'mores. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more.
Holy.
Officials and residents in West Hampton Beach on edge this morning after scenes like this. Massive plumes of smoke stretching for miles after rare, fast-moving wildfires erupted on Long Island.
The weather is still a very significant concern and threat to us. We are hoping for some moisture to come in with this. It's not looking like that in the very near future.
The billowing black smoke from the raging wildfires surrounding Sunrise Highway. Dry and windy conditions acting as a blowtorch, pushing the flames dangerously close to homes and businesses.
I saw what looked like a tornado cloud coming from this direction.
2 commercial buildings damaged. Mark Cirillo taking this cell phone video as the flames closed in on his business.
The fire exploded and the flames went up and over the building and basically enveloped the whole place.
First responders from more than 90 fire departments, EMS agencies, and the National Guard aggressively battling the fire from the ground and by air. At least 2 firefighters injured.
Now let's take a look at the current drought monitor. Our drought monitor updates every Thursday, but right now we are seeing a lot of drought, not only in parts of New York and into New England, but also especially in the desert Southwest. So let's take you over to New York, where we're seeing some of that extreme drought going on. Here's just north of Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, where we're seeing some of that really intense drought. Mainly in southern New Jersey, where we're seeing that extreme drought, severe drought through Philadelphia down into parts of Maryland and up through New York and into Connecticut and Massachusetts. Elsewhere, we're talking moderate drought. Here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, just to the south of those wildfires, we're seeing dry conditions, so abnormally dry conditions, which is level 1. But in North Carolina, they're more in that moderate drought. That's mainly up and down the East Coast. As you head to the west, we're talking extreme drought and exceptional drought as you get to El Paso, Texas, and down into the Rio Grande Valley, bordering the Mexico-U.S. border. So a lot of help is needed when it comes to wet weather in these regions. Unfortunately, they're known for their very dry conditions, and these exceptional droughts even spread into parts of western Arizona and down into Nevada. Now, area-wide, we should be able to get a little bit of relief from this, especially here on the East Coast, as we do have wet weather on the way. But unfortunately, whenever a wildfire sparks, it creates multiple safety concerns, including air quality. During that peak of last year's wildfire season, I looked into how the air quality index is measured and how wildfires impact it. Air quality can become an issue when wildfires spark across the U.S. and Canada. Today, let's talk about how air quality is measured. The Air Quality Index measures the amount of pollutants that are present in the air. It specifically takes into account these 5 pollutants. Aerosols, this can be dust, smoke, or ash, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and ground level ozone. The AQI is measured on a scale of 0 to 500, where any number that is 50 or under is considered good air quality. The air quality can become worse when wildfire smoke spreads from the source of the fire to other parts of the continent. Additionally, when the sun heats up ground level ozone, this can reduce the air quality as well. Ground level ozone is formed from human use of fossil fuels. Once the air quality index rises to numbers between 51 to 100, we enter the moderate level. This means that a select few citizens who are extremely sensitive to pollutants may feel some health impacts. It's code orange and above where the air quality becomes particularly hazardous. In the unhealthy for some, unhealthy, and very unhealthy levels, health officials suggest limiting outdoor activities. Now, today in New York, they're experiencing near Long Island where those wildfires were, and they continue to try to contain them. They're experiencing moderate air quality concerns. Now, here in Hampton Roads, we are not experiencing any types of poor air quality at the moment. Even some rain that helped to really clear out the air came through overnight last night and through early this morning, a part of this very annoying low pressure system that just stood around the coast of the Carolinas for hours overnight last night through this morning. And now looking at a 6-hour loop, you're finally able to see that low pressure system moving offshore. So this morning and from last night through this morning, we have been seeing continuous showers, especially in the Outer Banks. But now as of about 9:25, we're seeing a clearing in that rain, but clouds are still lingering. In northeastern North Carolina in general, we're seeing much clearer conditions in terms of that rain, but lingering clouds. In Virginia, on the sunnier side of things, the further north you are, the better your sunshine, or the higher amount of sunshine you are seeing at the moment. So right now we're seeing a mix of sun and clouds here in downtown Norfolk. Temperatures at the moment from our Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View shows temperatures are in those middle 50s. So we're feeling much more mild today, and temperatures are already rising. So with this rise in temperatures, I actually expect temperatures to maybe even make it to the upper 60s on parts of the south side, but inland, we're talking a gorgeous day. So walking you through the rest of your day, temperatures through your Tuesday afternoon will climb to the upper 50s through the lower 60s. Inland will be much warmer with highs today in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Near the coast, we'll be in the middle 50s around parts of the peninsulas. Elsewhere, we're going to be in those middle 60s and lower 60s. Sunshine continues for us, and winds will start to really taper off as we get into the afternoon and evening. By 8 p.m. everywhere, we're going to be in the upper 40s to the middle 50s. And it's all because we'll have a south wind that will keep us on the warmer side overnight. So temperatures, even by midnight, will actually be in the lower 50s. So if you're heading out late tonight, if you work the third shift, you're absolutely fine when it comes to dry weather, but also it actually be more mild than you're probably expecting for a mid-March day. Now, if you're thinking about heading out today, just know that if you're more sensitive to those tree pollens, juniper, maple, ash, those pollen counts will be in the medium to high range today. Unfortunately, as we continue to have drier conditions after this morning's rain, those pollen counts will really start to tick up, especially in Virginia. So this will become high in that high range between the middle to end of the work week. Grass and weeds are not a factor for today and will remain pretty much a non-factor through the rest of the work week. Mold spores have been low and will continue to remain low. But if you're very sensitive to mold, you're going to want to either wear that mask or take that allergy medicine. Overall, though, I want to encourage you from now through any part of the rest of the work week to get outside and enjoy the weather, because we'll be mild, we'll be dry until we hit the weekend. So tomorrow is going to be pretty much a copy and paste of today. There's just one minor thing we have to keep in mind. Tomorrow morning, temperatures in the middle 40s, rising to the upper 40s by 8 a.m. We'll be back into those middle 60s by the afternoon with a backdoor cold front coming through. Now, that backdoor cold front seems to be very weak, so we may see temperatures slightly drop off throughout parts of the afternoon and evening, but it really depends on how far south that front gets. If it doesn't get that far south, meaning touching parts of Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, then places on the south side may be much warmer than the peninsulas, where they may only be in the lower 60s, maybe even upper 50s. Now, inland tomorrow, we are talking temperatures in those 70s once again. Now, as we continue to see temperatures in the 60s throughout Thursday into the weekend, we're going to even rise to the middle 70s. So it really will start to feel like spring, and we'll be mainly dry from this today, Tuesday through Friday. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday where we start to introduce rain chances. A few small rain chances on Saturday, but it's really going to be on Sunday where those widespread showers come through. Now, we are already talking outlook for severe weather for parts of the middle and deep south as this very strong cold front really starts to get going, a part of a huge low pressure system that will be very intense. You can even see, this is March, but we can even see some snow on the back side of that front to the northwest of that low pressure system. Here comes that cold front all the way down. So places like St. Louis, Memphis, and in the parts of the mid-south and the Midwest, we could have some very intense severe weather on Friday. And that severe weather threat transitions over into parts of the deep south on Saturday as that cold front advances to the east. See how strong those fronts and those storms are getting going on Saturday night. This is Sunday morning. What happens with us? Well, we may have a lot of showers and rain before the strongest storms roll through. If that's the case, it would take a lot of the energy away from this system. Also, with the newest updates from the European model, which is one of our global models that goes out for at least 7 to 10 days, it's been showing that this cold front may be a little bit slower than we thought. If these storms roll through during the evening time and overnight, that actually limits the severe weather potential for us here across the mid-Atlantic. Storms thrive off of sunlight because that's its fuel. It provides energy to those storms. So if you take away the sunlight, replace it with nighttime, then you start to get weaker storms. So we may only see widespread showers and a few thunderstorms mixed in. Right now, we are still waiting to see if we'll be put into a severe weather outlook. But right now, your 5 to 7 day forecast shows temperatures staying in those middle 60s today and tomorrow, rising near 70 degrees on Thursday, dropping back down to the lower 60s as we get into Friday, a part of a backdoor front. Taking this full, we are seeing temperatures continuing to be in those middle 70s across the area on Saturday. Again, a small chance for rain late Saturday, but I think the majority of the rain is really going to come on Sunday. Temperatures will still be in those middle 70s, anywhere up to 10 to 15 degrees above normal. But look how our normal high temperature is starting to really climb, almost near 60 degrees. It just makes my heart so warm as temperatures begin to warm up, because I am waiting for that really warm weather to be the consistent thing here in Hampton Roads. We'll have that cold front roll through. It will drop temperatures, but it won't be a huge drop, maybe only 10 degrees. So for St. Patrick's Day, we're looking for some morning showers before they pull off to sea. We'll have clearing conditions throughout the day, but it will be breezy. Temperatures on Monday will be back in the middle 60s. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, make sure to download our 13 News Now app on your mobile device, especially because we are going to talk about later this week about severe weather preparedness. It's best to have multiple ways to have weather alerts, and we'll send you alerts straight to your phone. Use the QR code right now to download the app. It's free on the Apple Store and on Google Play. And you can also download the 13 News Now Plus app on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV today for free as well, where you can rewatch newscasts, watch the forecast, and watch everything on your own time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, a certified broadcast meteorologist based in Norfolk, Virginia, here with our daily weather desk, where we talk about the top weather headlines from locally, around the country, and around the world. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with the latest headlines. See you tomorrow and have a great day.